Primer punto, darle la bienvenida a la doctora Tamara Colangui, que es directora de la Cátedra Shimón Pérez por la Paz por la Universidad Anáhuac de México y directora de la Fundación ILAN, que impulsa la innovación y promueve las relaciones entre Israel y México, y que es gracias a ella que estamos aquí en este evento. Por favor.
Directora académica, ¿eh?
Ah, ok. Con el siguiente punto es el doctor Emil Alon, es emprendedor en serie, presidente y fundador de múltiples empresas tecnológicas en Estados Unidos e Israel en el campo de la inteligencia artificial, basado en motores de búsqueda y visión artificial, centrado en la innovación tecnológica, innovadora que puede escalar, desarrollar una visión que puede potenciar los modelos de las plataformas tanto de software y hardware en próximas generaciones. Doctor Emil Alon, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Si bien la innovación es un tema que siempre está presente en el quehacer que nos corresponde aquí en la Facultad de Ingeniería, que es el ingenieril, y muy particularmente en la formación de las y los ingenieros, este proceso de innovación implica varios factores que tienen que ver con el aprendizaje, que tiene que ver necesariamente con un método estructurado, que no necesariamente tendrá que ser riguroso, pero sí tendrá que ser una constante y tendrá que ser disciplinar. Para poder llegar a esta innovación tecnológica, tendrá que pasar por diferentes pasos, por diferentes tiempos, que a lo mejor muchas veces se recurre a un desánimo, a una frustración, pero esto no quiere decir que se logre un avance hacia encontrar un nuevo producto, un nuevo servicio o algún procedimiento que lleve hacia la innovación y hacia encontrar procesos nuevos, que es finalmente nuestro quehacer en la ingeniería, solucionar problemas y poderlos enfrentar de una nueva manera. También en este caminar hacia la innovación puede ser que nos encontremos con soluciones inimaginables, puede ser que nuestro proceso que estamos nosotros solucionando o que queremos solucionar, no lo logremos, pero en ese caminar logremos resolver otro problema que no lo teníamos pensado. Y precisamente ese proceso nos lleva hacia la investigación, que va de la mano con la innovación, para finalmente crear una tecnología. Estas y otras cuestiones, así como los avatares de este caminar en la innovación, es lo que nos va a compartir el doctor Emil Alon en su conferencia La tecnología, un camino al despertar. Sean todos ustedes bienvenidas y bienvenidos a la Facultad de Ingeniería. Welcome to the School of Engineering of the UNAM.
Thank you very much.
Buenas, soy Tamara Colangui, solo que soy directora académica de ILAN. Nuestro director es el señor Isacasa, gracias a él estamos aquí. Esperamos de veras poder hacer de esta una relación fructífera donde nosotros podamos premiar la innovación y todo el emprendimiento que ustedes pueden darle a la sociedad. Quisiera explicarles un poquito qué es Fundación ILAN y traemos un video que lo explica perfectamente para que conozcan y ya después pasaremos a la conferencia del doctor Alon.
Impulsamos la innovación, vinculados con Israel, imaginación, liderazgo, amistad, nobleza. ILAN, Israel Latin American Network. En ILAN impulsamos la innovación, vinculados con Israel, para mejorar la vida de las personas. Israel es uno de los países con mayor capacidad de innovación en el mundo. Lo que esta nación de Medio Oriente ha logrado ha sido gracias a su cultura y a una fuente de motivación para desarrollar innovación, y que podemos describir como el triángulo de la innovación, porque une voluntades. Por un lado, la del gobierno gobierno como promotor. En segundo lugar, las de las universidades y los emprendedores, promoviendo el conocimiento. Y finalmente, el sector privado, invirtiendo recursos. En otras palabras, autoridad, conocimiento y capital, como ejes plenamente sincronizados de un nuevo motor de desarrollo. Solo con innovación, Israel ha logrado aumentar en los últimos 30 años el PIB per cápita de $16.000 a $44.000. Todo ello solamente con tecnología, colocándolo por encima de países como Francia. Convertirse en el estado con mayor desarrollo de startups per cápita. Tener el segundo gasto más alto del mundo, 4.7% del PIB en investigación y desarrollo. Inspirados en la fortaleza de innovación israelí, nace ILAN, con el firme propósito de transformar la vida de las personas y de las sociedades en Latinoamérica con un enfoque en 7 áreas de acción: educación, salud y ciencia, comunicación, medio ambiente, transformación social, tecnología y paz. Para lograrlo, contamos con 3 mecanismos que reconocen e impulsan el talento, vinculándolo con la innovación israelí. Premios ILAN. Creamos los premios ILAN a la innovación y los premios ILAN a la innovación universitaria para reconocer y motivar a los proyectos que puedan generar un alto impacto social. Delegaciones ILAN. Año con año, ILAN lleva a un grupo de innovadores en un viaje a Israel, con el objetivo de desarrollar lazos de aprendizaje entre las naciones y conocer de cerca el modelo de innovación israelí. Foros ILAN, donde los innovadores trabajarán activamente y de forma interdisciplinaria para la resolución de retos alrededor de las 7 áreas de acción. Siempre comprometidos con el cambio, proponiendo soluciones a los retos actuales para construir un futuro mejor. Albert Einstein decía: la mente que se abre a una nueva idea jamás regresa a su tamaño original. En ILAN impulsamos la innovación para mejorar la vida de las personas.
This is not very stable. I don't want to hold it. Okay, I'll do like this. Everybody, nice to have you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the university hosting me. So my name is Emil Alon, and I feel privileged that we can share this 1 hour or so, 1.5 hours, 1 hour we have, together with you to tap into some of the, I think, most interesting aspects of current technology. So we'll try to illustrate where technology is taking us, what are the possible direction of development, what are the possible revolutions that are ahead of us that will change the way we perceive reality, we interact with reality, we interact with people, and so forth. So this is the journey we will take in the 1 hour or so, and I like to do it very interactively. So I will allow myself to ask you questions and to have some discussions or ideas together, okay? So not just a monologue on my side. So the company I'm heading right now, called Resonai, Resona is a company that basically create an operating system to combine the physical world and the digital world. So all of us, we know that there was certain revolution if we sort of connecting the dot backwards in how technology evolved. So we have some very significant points in the recent evolution of technology that we can probably agree. One is, of course, the internet. Okay? So the internet, until now, is the most amazing accomplishment of humanity in terms of ability to share content and deliver content respecting the purity of the intention of the publisher. And this is something very important to understand, because the only way the internet could scale to the level we know it today was because there was a protocol, there was a handshake between devices, hardware and software, that eventually delivers the information to you via your browsers, okay, or via your applications. So even if it's different computers, different clouds, different operating systems, different hardware devices, and different browsers, if I write something to you, you are getting my pure intention to you as possible. Even if there's a translation because of barrier of language, you need to explicitly permit the translation. And this is amazing if you think about it. It means the intention of the person, okay, is basically transcend space in a very accurate manner through all these different type of technologies and devices. And this is because of the way the internet grown based on the protocol, the TCP/IP protocol, and later on, of course, the HTTP protocol and the HTML protocol that allow this very pure movement of information across space and across time, internet. And then we saw, so this is a facilitation, okay? But then we saw how people, via the social web, okay, that started early 2000, how suddenly everybody can be connected to everybody, and how people can be connected to ideas that are sprouting for a single person sometime, and get a viral effect, a wide effect of distributing, and every and which one of us can be a content creator. So this concept, that was, there were very few people that were the content creators, and the mass were content consumers. But this paradigm now is changed, and everybody can have its own impact in the field that is interested at, using those social media technologies and capabilities, and promoting his views, his ideas, and set forth. So this is the revolution of the social web. And then, of course, the mobile. The mobile simply sort of exploded everything. Exploded the ability to shift and move content, exploded the different level of applications, okay, that those capabilities are centered around, the ability of each and one of you to participate in the information all around using this miraculous device that was presented in 2007, okay, by Steve Jobs. Suddenly everybody has a portal, a gateway to the full vastness of the internet in his hands. Okay? This is amazing. Once you are living through it, you are getting used to it, of course, and it's natural, and it's good that it's natural. Otherwise, you are not focused on doing what you can do pragmatically, if you're just wondering how it can be. But we'll discuss today how it can be, because I want to go today all the way even to the mere principles of reality. What physics has to tell us about reality, how the brain are interpreting for us reality, creating the perception of reality, and what does it mean when we're entering now into new phases of technology. Because the past is interesting, for me, only in the sense it can direct us and tell something for the future, because the past is not here anymore, yeah? The potential of the future is here, and definitely the present moment is here, and I will talk about those two. So, what is ahead of us? So we discussed the internet, we discussed the social web, we discussed the mobile phone. And one of the highest potential to be the next revolution is what we call augmented reality and virtual reality. So who heard about extended augmented reality? Please, don't be shy. Okay, we have 1 hour, let's use it very good, and just be free and open, so to maximize the shared intelligence we have in this room. So who heard about augmented reality? Please raise the hand. Okay. Who can explain simply what is augmented reality? You will get a 1 bonus point from me, and it's very important. Who can explain? You wanted to explain? Only English, I'm sorry. Hablar español un poquito. Great. Okay, so you indicated 2 interesting points regarding augmented reality. One of them is the ability to project digital objects, function, into physical reality, yes? And the other one is how you model physical reality using current digital devices like phone or specialized camera. So, thank you. What is your name? Daniela. Thank you, Daniela. So, generally speaking, we have today a distinct differentiation between physical reality, as we call it, and digital reality. The way we consume digital reality is mainly through computers and through this type of devices, the mobile phone. And the way we consume physical reality is through, being in the physical space, experiencing through our sense doors all the information that is coming to us via physical material properties. Don't forget that also digital, eventually they are transforming themselves into sound, yes, acoustic phonons, and into photons that are projected to our eyes via the screens, okay? So this differentiation is somewhat not very clear because eventually our sense doors and definitely our brain is participating, whether it's digital or physical. Eventually all this information coming to our brain and establish the perception, the action, and the behavior of us as human beings. So in that sense, our brain and definitely sense doors and brain, are both shared in terms of the stream of information coming whether from the physical reality or from the digital reality, okay? But when we say physical reality, digital reality, we have to understand what is reality. So we take it for granted. We say physical reality, digital reality. What is reality? So who is bold enough to try and give his explanation, what is reality? Thank you. Name?
It's everything you can feel.
Great. And if I just think of it, it's not reality?
Mind reality.
Good, good. Okay, so it's another type of reality. Let's call it subjective reality. Okay? So you said very nicely that there is a distinction between objective reality, everything we can feel and see and share, okay, and subjective reality. And this is our own conscious stream, okay, that we translate when we speak, we translate when we move, we translate when we perform any action in the objective world, okay? So, okay, we progressed. We saw 2 different types of realities now. The internal reality that is highly dependent on us as conscious being, okay? We have this property of mind, okay? So we have an inner world that we can simulate, imagine, think, and even more inner worlds that we even don't have the connections to those motivation or wills. In psychology, they call it subconsciousness. But we know it because sometimes, we are dreamy, or we have dreams, or we are entering in a very, very unique state. That all the things that we are used to define used to tag, we used to speak about it, to feel about it, are not there. And we are all experiencing this state every day. What is this state? What is this state that transcends any perception we have about reality, that we are living it every day? Who can tell me? This is 2 points. And more than that, when we are at that state, we are the same. So all the concept of differentiation of subjective and objective collapses. It's the exact same state for everybody. And we experience it every day. Dreaming is not exactly the same, because dreaming, you have semantics, you have visuals, you have concepts. You can memorize them and then contemplate on them when you are in a wake state, yes? And your dreams might be different than others' dream. You are progressing, but dreams inherent partially semantics of your awakening state, yes? What is the state that my state and your state are exactly the same? No semantics, transcend all type of semantics.
I have two concepts come to my mind. The first one is consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is simply being alive.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. What is your name?
David.
David. That's beautiful. And there is something that is very simple that calls deep sleep. When we are in deep sleep, not dream sleep, deep sleep, it means all our grasping, all our perception of the world and its appearances, they are collapsing into a state that doesn't have any semantics to incline to. There is no I, there is no me, there is no my job, my gender, my age, nothing stays there. It collapses into what we call deep sleep. So I like what David said, because I often describe this state as a pure consciousness state. It's like the pure potential state before any phenomenon is actually emerged, whether internal phenomenon, what we call subjective, or external phenomenon, what we call objective. Okay, they are unified in a pure state that hasn't any semantics associated to that, and this is deep sleep. And surprisingly enough, this is the most rejuvenating, the most enhancing experience we have when we have a good deep sleep. Sometimes you have a very hectic day, crazy day, you feel, you sleep deeply for 10 minutes, you're rejuvenated. And there's a reason behind it. Because this is the only time you really know who you are. You are touching the basis of consciousness. And it's not an egoic consciousness. It's not my consciousness based on my memories, my ideas, my perception, my beliefs. No, it's beyond every. It's the same. And you are tapping into this fountain of youth and absolute intelligence. And even 10 minutes, not dream sleep, that still you have friction with your mind, perceptions, not dream sleep, deep sleep. When you let go. If you don't let go, you cannot fall into deep sleep. Sometimes people are so bothered because of something that grappled them, obsessing them, very difficult to sleep. You all know that you have an exam tomorrow. And you try to contemplate all the formulas, yes, I know, Newton laws, Einstein laws. Let's see, I remember that, I had these tricks, I solved this riddle, and you cannot sleep. Because some ideas, you are so identified with them, you are not letting go. So you are still in the outside layers of phenomenon and experiential, and you cannot let go everything and enter into this unified state that we are calling deep sleep. This is only a name for it. It's not a state. It's only a name you are calling. When you are awake, you call it a deep sleep. Okay? So today, I will show you how we can enjoy deep sleep when we are awake. How we can be free of all the semantics, all the things that deviates us, make us apart, troubling us, and alter, transcend all those concepts, ideas that creates friction between us and the potential that we have, even when we are awake. Within an action, when I I speak, when I move, when I solve something, I can still be in touch with that state. And this is, we will discuss it. So I will show you a way how we combine, for example, what we discuss about augmented reality, and how this gives us as technology another metaphor, another potential for us as humans to elevate our state of consciousness and to be free of the previous conditioning, the previous ideas we had around reality, to enhance our potential and our ability in performing our goals, intentions. Okay? So I illustrate you the path of technology in a certain manner, and now we entered into the augmented reality. So I want to tell you that all of us now already within augmented reality, or even virtual reality. Who knows a bit about quantum physics here? Who can describe the fundamentals of quantum physics? Yes, your name. Salvador. Sí, Salvador. Good, great answer. So this is a very important property, okay, of quantum physics, but we need to understand how quantum physics became to be in the first place. Physicists, they ask themselves a very simple question. What is the truth? What is an absolute truth? Something that doesn't conditioned from a specific perspective of an observer. So if you look at special relativity and general relativity of Einstein, this was his motivation, to generalize and to find out the absolute truth behind systems, okay, that are having a relation via movement between them. Okay, so two different systems that are moving from each other in a certain speed, how you can objectify the state and understand what is really true, what is absolutely true, and not determined on the observation of the person within this system or that system. Same goes when you generalize it to acceleration and gravitation. Okay, so his motivation was to find out the truth and not just my narrow point of view or my narrow experience because I'm in a certain framework. I might be moving, I might be accelerating. Okay, so once I'm in a certain state, my observation cannot be the truth because I'm already framed by the state I'm in it myself. So this was in the level of cosmology. Okay? Quantum physics was in the level of going deeper into the matter. We talked what is reality. So one aspect of reality is the physical reality, materialistic reality, yes, as opposed to the consciousness reality. And we'll touch on the combination of both because they are presented in our brain. So quantum physics is when you go deeper and deeper, and as you know, we see matter, and then we see the molecules, and then we go deeper into the atoms, as the Greek coined atom, non-divisible. So we know that it's divisible. We know there's a charge surrounding a nuclei. And let me see if I'm now sort of expanding the atom into the size of the Earth. What will be the size of the nuclei? How it can be represented visually? Who can tell me? What is approximately the size of the nuclei if I expand the atom to the size of the Earth? A strawberry. Okay, so the real matter of the Earth that simulates now an atom is in the size of strawberry. So there's nothing. So let's examine this something and go to the nuclei that contains from protons, neutrons. So what is this matter? Where is the solidity coming from? So they go deeper into nuclear energy. This is what we are gaining by using nuclear bombs, for example. Yes, we are gaining this energy that holds the nucleus together. Suddenly enough, these are all breakable components into quarks, into fields. Okay? So there's also space. Nothing real, spaces. And you can go to superstring theory, but eventually, as he said correctly, when we try to define a physical system, a material system, we understand now via quantum physics, yes, if we are going this path, because this is another framework. Science is just another framework. It can objectify and predict certain phenomena, but is also solidify those phenomena. Because once you try to predict phenomenon, the first thing you do, you solidify this phenomenon. It becomes an observable phenomenon that it separates itself from the non-observable. Once you go deeper, you can change the concept of phenomenon. And this is what happened with quantum physics. When you go deeper into matter, you know, Einstein believed, and he struggled all his life, post-quantum physics revolution, that he was part of it, with the ideas of quantum physics, because it was implementing that the system doesn't have a predefined properties. It's just a potential. The potential that he described in a certain mathematical framework called Hilbert space. Only when we measure, we interact with the system in a certain way, it collapses itself into what we call an observable phenomenon. So simply put, an electron, for example, okay, is spreaded in many, many different states simultaneously in the same time. So it can be, for example, if there's only one particle in the universe, let's say there is space, there's one particle, his position is not determined, is all over space. Only when we measure it, it will suddenly miraculously, in an infinite speed, not speed of light, more than that, infinite speed, will assert itself in a certain position that we can observe and interact with our observable capabilities called senses. So the idea of quantum physics shows us a totally different model on reality. There's a beautiful sentence by Augustus Rodin. He is a sculptor. He said, in a piece of stone, all the sculptures are already there. Think of it. In a piece of stone, all possible sculptures already are there. So you as a sculptor, what you do basically, you're eliminating from this infinite potential of sculptures a very specific sculpture. And then your brain fixates with this one, and you are giving up on the full potential that is presented by this abstract idea of a piece of stone. This is exactly synonym with what I described with quantum physics. The world as a physical state, as a physical system, it's an infinite potential before any type of phenomenon observable or experience. It's just potential. And only we will interact with it with a perception, with a certain idea, with a certain motivation, then it collapses into something that we can address via our senses and perception. Think of it for a moment. So the basic state is infinite potential. We have another name for infinite potential. We call it God. We call it nirvana. We can call it Hilbert space, but it's not even Hilbert space, because Hilbert space, the mathematical space containing superposition, is already in a certain framework of energy or position or momentum. So the Hilbert of the Hilbert spaces is basically an infinite potential space before any type of consciousness or material observation that collapses the wave function of reality into an observable. And we're all there. We're in deep sleep. So it's not just an intellectual concept. It's something we actually experience constantly because we are part of it. Only when we are framing ourselves via thoughts, I'm a student, my name is Emil, my history was that. In that moment, I collapse this infinite potential to something that defines me. This is very important for you to realize that your mind, your thoughts, is the only thing that limits your potential. Once you are submitting yourself to those thoughts, is as if you are measured yourself in a certain manner, and then you are framework to that specific idea or perception. And the reason why deep sleep is so important, because you are sort of rebooting yourself from all this. And you are reborn in a way. So how is that connected to augmented reality? So if we understand this, we understand that the tool that actually collapses the way we function is our brain. Because out there, there's nothing but quantum potential fields. So I'm getting photons, I'm getting phonon acoustics, I'm getting electromagnetic interaction, I call it touch. I get chemical pheromones, I call it smell or taste. But the thing that actually interprets reality into people, discussion, time, space, past, future, I, he, she, is here. So let me tell you. Let's say, David, I will put you in a missile and take you to Saturn. We're going now into space. You will experience it, yes? Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So it means your brain can experience this phenomenon, yeah? Now, I see how the brain experiences it. I have a tool to see exactly how your brain, what is the state of your brain when you experience, accelerating to space, being in a space shuttle, landing on Saturn. And now, I provoke the same neurons in your brain directly, similarly, totally identical to the neurons you have once you actually did it. Do you feel the same?
I guess so. I really think that we are solely our brains. So yes, I think that I would feel the same sensations.
Yeah, of course. By the way, you're also simulating this, This is also part of your simulation, that you are sitting now in an auditorium in Mexico and speaking to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's scary.
It's not scary, it's beautiful. Who saw the film The Matrix? So I recommend all of you to see at least the first part of the first movie. Because The Matrix is exactly this idea. There is no spoon, you remember? So basically, all reality as you know it, and as you collapse it, as you measure it, miraculously is in your brain, but it's not in your brain. Because the separation of you and reality is also in your brain. So the fact that we are addressing it as if it's here, it's also part of the simulation. There was an interview with Elon Musk. You know who Elon Musk is? Yes, so it was an interview with him like a few years ago. And he said there is 48% that life is simulation of a higher level of intelligence. I'm telling you it's not 48%, it's 100%. But it's not in the conspiracy aspect that there's people like us that are doing simulation of a game or something that we are participating in. No, this is very limited imagination. And I'll tell you why. Think that now we are in an ant organization. We are all ants. And we're having this discussion. And one ant say, I think we are a simulation of ants that are more powerful than us, more smarter than us, but they are ants. Because this ant cannot even imagine Shakespeare or Einstein or physics, because it's totally out of their measurement tools. It's totally out of their ability to collapse reality to Shakespeare screenplays. Sorry, not screenplays. Scripts. Or Einstein's ideas regarding quantum physics. Or a carpenter that need to deploy certain force in order to solve something. So it's totally out of scope. So our imagination is limited via how we perceive the observable world. And it also defines the scope of our imagination. But reality is much bigger than that. So now we see how it's connected to augmented reality, because now we see, oh, so there's no difference actually between augmented and virtual reality and reality. It's all transmitted to our brain. So if I can fool the brain good enough, I can put digital object and I will see them exactly as they are real. So I don't know if you heard about a company, for example, called Magic Leap. You heard about this company? So they did an interesting thing. They have a projector that transmits photons in a way that it's completely fools the brain as if those photons are actually coming from reality. It's connected to the depth field, the phase of the photon. So the waveguide, the way the photon came, was in the exact phase as it should come from a specific distance from space. So they took Sergey Brin. You know who Sergey Brin is? He's one of the founders of Google. There were two founders of Google, Sergey Brin and Larry Page. So they put Sergey Brin with this device. They put something more bulkier than this one, something like this, and say, look, see this auditorium? You see it? Yes. In this auditorium, there are things that are really there and things that we are projecting to your eyes. If you can guess which is which, what is real, what is digital, go away, don't invest. If you cannot, you have to invest. How much? $500 million, $500 million. Would you take this deal if you have money? Who can tell me why not? Who can tell me why yes? The no guy. So nobody think no. So everybody, if you had money, you take this deal. Okay. So if you have money, it's a good idea. Why? Because it's a win-win situation. If they really have this technology, it's such a revolutionary technology, of course I want to invest there. If they don't, I didn't lose anything because I could guess correctly. So if you have money, of course, it's a win-win situation. He invested, okay? Because they implanted the object digitally to his eyes. For example, this bottle, he looked at it, he moved, do like this, but he couldn't decide whether it's digital or decide in 50% of probability to be correct. So on the visual aspect, we are nearly there to fool the brain. Sound aspect, we are there already. So the reason we still don't have this is very simple. To reduce it to this form factor, to solve all the engineering problems associated to battery power, to weight, to field of view, to the robustness of the hardware platform, we're still not there. But this is a probable next revolution. This will change everything from content creation to content consumption. Because now my intention is everything. When I'm looking on something, I can see all the layers associated to that. So everything become a portal. You remember the Augustus Rodin piece of stone? So now everything is piece of stone. So reality now is not trivial anymore. It's not fixate anymore. It's magic. Because everything can be a different, you start in something, but you can go deeper. Is that new concept? No. This is consciousness. You and I can agree that there's a bottle. But you have a vast subjective experience for this bottle that I'm not sharing right now. It's your subjective experience. We can only agree that this is a bottle, and now we can go deeper. What is this design? How much liquid it contains? How we can make it ecological? So now we can go deeper into the layer of the concept called bottle. And we can even go to quantum physics and say, there is no bottle, there is no spoon. So in this specific thing, all the universe exists, like a fractal. But on the conscious level, we are just sharing a very superficial thing, saying, this is a bottle. It's very practical if I want to drink. And please, can you Give me the bottle. Oh, no, I'm just giving an example. You know what? Please, joking. So yeah, it's in practicality, we have to avoid all the infinite knowledge and to assert ourselves on some agreement that we are not going deeper to that. But once we want to go deeper and ask what is absolute, we cannot compromise. We have to go deeper until we fall into deep sleep. And then we're there already. So augmented reality is no different. It's just manifesting those layers. So now I can add all those experience regarding the bottle, is ecology footprint, is liquid amount. Every aspect that someone has about the bottle can be associated and attached to the bottle. And now when I'm looking with my smart glasses, my personal interest can define which type of layers I can consume from this infinite object. Think you're walking in the beautiful gardens you have here in the campus, and you're looking on a tree, and you can see his name, layers, history, how it looks in winter, simulation of how it looks in when there's snow. You have snow sometime here? No. Oh. Sorry for this example. It's okay, I don't have snow as well in Israel, so we are in the same boat in that aspect. So you can have all those layers now interactable from the subconscious of the interaction of you and a tree to a conscious level when you know more and more that this tree is infinite and you can tap and go deeper or create content that will serve others. So now the rigidness, the one-sidedness of reality opens up into something much bigger. So we are not inventing augmented reality. We are living augmented reality. We are living virtual reality. Technology just manifesting it out for us to be aware that this is what we do. So basically, technology helps us learn about ourselves and unfold the potential we have in interacting with the vastness of reality. So we are in an amazing situation in life as human race that we can go in our conscious level to understand the infinite space, information, potentiality of reality. That we are part of it already. This is the only thing that exists. We are just a simulation that differentiates us and eliminate some of the information so we can experience certain measurement of reality. Like, yes, I'm in Mexico, yes, I'm this is my life, this is what I do, I want to be an engineer, I want to be married, I want to have children, I want to go to the moon or to Saturn. But you are much more than that. You are choosing this. It's not imposed. You are simply not aware that this is what you do. So I want to show you, for example, a thing we are doing in the company, how we are integrating digital and physical. So if you take an example of a shopping center. So we still don't have smart glasses, yes? But we have mobile phone. So if I can interact with everything within the shopping center just by pointing my camera and then see it as if it's there, like Pokemon Go that you mentioned, but Pokemon Go didn't actually interact with reality. It was floating on the camera. So it wasn't really interwoven and respect the semantics of reality. So when I'm talking about augmented reality on the next level, I want to respect the semantics of reality because this is the first agreements that we have as communication platform. This is a bottle. This is a screen. Okay, so for example, if I'm looking on my mobile phone on this bottle, I want to see, if I'm interested in ecological footprint, all the ecological information associated with this bottle, just using the camera. If I'm interested in measurements, I want to see exactly how much liquid is contained here, okay? Or if I want to see this lecture, I'm pointing my mobile phone to the screen, and then I see all the lectures ever been here, and I simply grab it to my mobile phone to go later. So I'm respecting the semantics of the space, the intention of the people who designed this space for certain purposes, because this is how they sink us in, okay? But I add all those layers of the augmented reality. So I'll show you a short movie of an example in a shopping center, how it looks. And some of the movie is also the stage, how you onboard physical asset and transform it into digital asset. So there's some problem with the voice, so I'll try to narrate on the important stuff. The name of the company is Resonai. So physical properties are being recreated as intelligent digital spaces. So this is a typical shopping center. The first thing we do is we model it using AI and transform it into a full digital twin, it's called. It's a digital twin, reflects the exact semantics and the exact look and feel of the shopping center. Okay, so now you have an actual 3D model, precise 2 millimeters to reality. Now we deduce all the semantics. Our AI runs an index, floors, ceilings, windows, walls, every semantic aspects that we can inherit and address is indexed. So now you have a total virtual model that comprises of the physical aspect and the semantical aspect. And now you are entering to the layer of the application. So if you go to this market and you say, I'm looking for shoes, you will see a 3D shoes coming to you and say, follow me. And then you follow the trail of the shoes to the nearest or branded based on the who actually did this. So now all the layers are there in reality and respecting the semantics and the geometry of reality. It's not just like in Pokemon. So if you're looking on a store, for example, here, for example, you see next train scheduling. In the gates, this is where you're expecting to get this type of information. Here you can see a macaroon shop, and you can also reserve a place. Once you simply point your mobile phone, you can see the menu or reserve a place. So it's a call for action just by pointing your intention, okay, to this shop. It offers what you can do with it. So this is an example of how you overlay those digital elements. So in our offices, for example, in our customer offices, I can operate every air condition, lights, every electrical facility using my mobile phone. I just point in, let's say that this light is bothering me. I'm just lifting my camera. I see the controller, the digital controller, and now I switch it on and off. Air condition. I point it, taking the controller on, I do whatever I want to do with the air condition. So basically all the intelligence of those objects are within space. This is why we call it smart space. I will show now another example of a game that was built on our platform. We are the platform, and basically we're transforming all the physical space into something like an iPhone that now application developers can develop application on top of that. So let's see a game that was developed during one of the biggest conferences in the world and see the level of interaction between the digital and the physical. So this is an actual screen capture of the phone. So it's a multiplayer game. So now we are asked to follow the arrow that you see on your camera. So you are now following the arrow. It's a CES, the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas. Now you see, hey, look at me. Okay, so you look at what's going on there. And suddenly, this fairy is popping out of the wall. Only you can see it, or the players that are now in this game. And she asks you to follow her. So you're following her. And you see, she doesn't bother because there are people and the camera is moving. So the digital element is registered into space in a very natural way. So she's walking, and then see what happens. And this is, by the way, this is not a movie. This is the real thing the person with a mobile phone experiencing now. Yeah, sorry, I'm sorry, it's very aggressive. See how he's climbing the real wall. It's real walls, and it seems totally real. Now you need to save the ferry. You and the other players, your quest now is to save the ferry. So now blocks are moving from the ceiling. You need to avoid them with a mobile phone. If you crashed, you are dead. I'll jump. So there are creatures flying, and you need to fight them off. He's now banging. Look what he do. Again, see the reality, how it's real in terms of the interaction between the physical space and the digital space. You see the rocks falling from the, you need to avoid those. So everybody, all the players are trying to kill this ogre. And now just for the final stage, after you kill all these creatures, you fight them off, only in the holy grail of saving this fairy, You reach to the ultimate quest and see what happens here. Again, see the level of registration or accuracy between the digital object and the physical facility that is there. So see what happened. Now this is the final stage of the game. The ultimate warrior is coming to you. And you need to fight. This is another player, you see. You can see his avatar on the shoulder. You see? He's playing with you. Now it's the big celebration. Everybody is trying to kill the poor dragon. So this is a game that was developed on top of our platform. Okay? So this is the level of accuracy and registration, interaction you expect from the digital element and the physical element to be fully realized and fully intuitive on how you interact with reality. So to summarize what we saw here so far, we saw an extrapolation of the technological evolution and how it became more and more intimate, approaching your brain. Next level, smart glasses, is contact lens with same capabilities probably. Second is directly interacting with your brain, and then you and I can fly together to Saturn easily. We can share information brain to brain in a much more intuitive way. So we can alter the egoic persona of a human being to tap into something that is much higher in terms of intelligence, shared intelligence. This is what we're trying to do when we're together. We try to synergize and enhance the level of intelligence. 1 + 1 is more than 3, is more than 2. It can be also more than 3. So this is where technology takes us, but it doesn't inventing anything, because this is exactly what you do all the time. This is where you are all the time. You are the creators of your world. And now, who sometimes here feel unhappy? Sometimes. Who sometimes question whether he's smart or stupid, whether he's important in life, not important, whether he's worthy to be loved, not worthy to be loved? Who sometimes has this kind of thoughts? Who is lying? Yeah. First of all, thank you. Honesty is the most important quality to project your and get the real food you need. Who wants to be free from suffering? Who doesn't want to be free from suffering? Want to suffer? Who? Enjoy. If you like to suffer, enjoy. Those who like to suffer sometimes feel it has a meaning within, that suffering is part of the experience of life and can take you somewhere else. But eventually, you want to use suffer to transcend your understanding and go to somewhere else. So let's do it without suffering. What do you say? Let's transcend and reach the same potential without being miserable. So, if reality is infinite potential, if what we do is all the time collapsing reality into an observable world via our thoughts, for example, I'm a failure. This is a thought. The moment I believe to this thought, I disconnected myself from the full potential of reality that is undefined into something defined, and I pay the price. Very simple. So all suffering in the world manifests itself right now as a form of a thought. When you believe in that thought, you are a slave of it. You'll suffer. When you understand it's just a point of view or observation of your conditioning in that moment, you are free from the suffering. You can see the thought suggesting itself as a perspective, but you don't have to cling to it, hold it, swallow it, and be part of it. And by the way, this is why we love movies so much. You know why we love movies? Because movies describe exactly this phenomenon. We're sitting in a chair with other people, and let's say we see a huge tragedy, like a big building that is on fire. If it was total reality, we will run away. You know, the first movies they projected, when the first things, you know what happened? One movie was a train coming towards you in a tunnel. 50% of the people run away shouting. Because their brain signaled, oh, it's real, because part of the brain actually think it's real. Those networks that defines, oh, this is the train, this is the tunnel, it's coming very fast. It's real. The other part said, no, you're in the cinema, relax. So there's a tension between two. Most of the time, we know about cinema, so the tension is okay, it's bearable, and we enjoy the movie. Because we know it's a movie. But life is a movie. And the reason you don't enjoy life as you enjoy Netflix or movies is because you are totally identified with it. And you think, oh, this is real. No, it's not real. You are simulating it, exactly like a movie. So I'm telling you, and from all what I said here, just remember this. Think about the screen in the movie. All the movies in the world are enabled because of the screen. Yes, without a screen, you cannot get the movie. Because the screen reflects everything to you. Now, does the screen take something from the movie? Let's say this big tragedy with a building on fire. Does the screen say, oh, and he remembers some of it? And it become part of it, this fire? Does it? No. Because the next moment, the movie is comedy. So if the tragedy was there, and it was sticks to the screen, next movie was contaminated by it, yes? Because now it's reflecting constantly the tragedy. My friends, this is what you are doing. Instead of being a screen that you can project all movies and enjoy them, movies are projected, but you are contaminated by all the movies you are, put inside of you, identified with you, and they become your personality. And this personality creates friction with the amazing potential reality has to offer you. This is called the ego. You attach experiences to you instead of being reborn and refreshed from moment to moment. The good news, there's a very simple solution to that. I had to go and live in the Amazon River in Brazil with the Bushmen in the jungle and to go to very powerful transcendent experience. And I personally had to sit 3 years doing meditation in India, sometimes 10 hours a day in a dark room, to try and understand how consciousness and how brain body works. And I had to learn physics because I believe physics will give me answers. But after I gained my awakening, and on behalf of this awakening I'm speaking to you, I can tell you, you don't need to do all that. It's already given to you. The only thing you need to do is let go. When the mind suggesting itself in a form of a certain idea, certain opinion, instead of thinking, oh, I am my mind, so you are fully identified with this narrow perspective that is offered to you this in the form of this thought. Let go. And you'll see now that you became a very pure vehicle to stream much higher intelligence and knowledge through you. That is not you. It simply manifests through you. This is the state all the time. Everything you think you do, it's not you do. It's coming through you, but your ego is taking it for itself. Oh, this is me. Ah, it was my idea. I invented that. Our brain are antennas. It's not the source of information. Based on the frequency we are tuned to, this is the type of information that's come through us. Intelligence is it. It's not within us. And once you adopt this concept, you understand you don't need to practice anything. It's only the current thought in this present moment that create the illusion that you are separate from this infinite, beautiful reality. So thought is coming. It creates a movie in your brain. You believe in that. You are now in a matrix. You are disconnect yourself from the understanding that, no, I'm just experiencing a movie. Be the screen, not the movie. Be the screen. So then you'll see more and more experience can come through you. You are flexible. You have feelings of compassion and intimacy with everybody. You are not afraid, you are not intimidated. Because you know that you're bound to fulfill whatever you are. It's not an option, you're bound to. So it's like knowing for sure that everything that should happen actually happens. Some people simply don't expect it or don't accept it, so they are suffering. Others accept it, so they're enjoying it. So this is your choice, to enjoy the journey or to suffer. But it's your choice. It doesn't depend on anything else, because everything else is your brain creation. It's your simulation creation. So we went all the way to see how technology challenged the way we understand reality. And we went very deeper into reality to reach consciousness. Daniela initially said there is subjective and objective. There's the inside consciousness, there's the outside world. No, they are the same. There's no real difference. So we went there, and eventually we came back to us. So it's about you. It's not about technology, it's not about revolution, it's always about you, because you experience the world as you experience it. Now, any question you may have, whether it's connected to consciousness, reality, science, or how to make money, to being an entrepreneur and develop technology, don't be shy, because this is our time together. Take advantage of it. So he is bold enough to ask the first question. Yes.
I have many questions, but the first thing,
Just your name, please.
Javier,
Javier, yes.
what were your main reasons to become an entrepreneur?
No reasons. Okay? That's what exactly I said before. You always connect the dot backwards. I can tell you a story why I became entrepreneur, but it's a story, it's a movie. The fact life took me to that point with certain miracles that happened to me. I will tell you an anecdote. I think it's nice. I was learning physics toward my PhD. And then I start travel. I took a vacation with my coming-to-be wife. And we traveled together. And we wanted to do the Silk Road, okay? From Turkey to China, most of it by foot, hiking, trekking. Eventually, we completed part of the journey, and for 6 months. And then when I came back, I had some ideas regarding search engine and how I can improve search engine using some of the concepts we discussed here today. So I was working on algorithms of search engines, relevancy algorithms, how to sort information to give you better results when you query for something. And after a while, I felt I had something very interesting, but I was also doubtful that those PhDs and those people in Google, very smart people, didn't think about those ideas. So doubt came a bit, and say, maybe you are hallucinating and you're doing things that are not connected to the mainstream of it. Natural, especially when you're working alone. And I read a book at that time called Links by a mathematician called Laszlo Barabashi. He's a Hungarian mathematician. I was sitting, I had a beautiful small hut in an olive grove next to the Mediterranean Sea. I was reading this book, and he challenged some of the, presented some of the challenged I felt I solved via my algorithms. Connected search engine, connected relevancy of search engines. And the first time in my life, I said to myself, I have to meet and speak with this guy. I never had this type of thought that you read a book and you say, I have to meet this guy. He's a Hungarian mathematician. Okay, I never heard about him. I just read his book. The moment I had this thought, the phone rang. I picked it up. It was my brother-in-law who learned physics with me in the university, in the Hebrew University. And he told me, you know, tomorrow there is 100 years for the annus mirabilis of Einstein. It was 2005. It was the annus mirabilis of Einstein. His famous article was in 1905. So exactly 100 years. And we have a conference, and some Nobel laureates, some very strong physicists and mathematicians are coming to present. So, oh, sounds amazing. Where is this? It's tomorrow. Where is it? Van Leer Institute. And there's, what is the lectures? I'm asking him. In the phone, yeah? He said, I don't know, there's a lecture here by Leslo Barabashi. I was like shocked. And what is the type of the lecture? The title of the lecture, it was the exact concept that intrigued my reason why I want to speak with him. It was Bose-Einstein effects in networks. Think about it. You read something, you have doubts, you say, I want to speak to this person that is somebody in the world you never had any chance to have a connection to, and the same exact moment you think about it, the telephone is ringing and you say, you are going to meet him tomorrow. We'll help you. So these miracles, and in that moment tears came, because you know the cosmos is kissing you. Say, go, go. Don't be doubtful. Let go. We're taking care of it. By the way, same miracles and visions when I met my wife and so many others. They're happening to you all the time. But you just need to open your eyes and open your heart. It's more important. Because the mind is totally saying, probability, probability. So if now I transcend myself to a lion in front of you, some people will say, probability. By quantum physics, there is a chance of 0.000001 that Emil Alon spontaneously will transform himself into a lion. That's it. I'm fixed. This is how the brain overpowering life and suffocating them and collapsing them from this infinite potentiality and magic into something that is predictable, boring, and eventually tedious for us. Okay? Yes, David.
Are you worried, or do you think that technology ethics will have to be revised, and because of the disruption that these augmented reality technologies will cause or is causing already? Since, for example, companies, most of them, their main goal is to maximize profit. So they will have the capability to tap deeper into each person's Rodin's stone.
Beautiful question.
Yes, and consequentially influence their decisions. So
Beautiful question. I'm not afraid of it because I'm not afraid. Okay? However, the reason I'm doing what I do is because of your question. And I will explain. I didn't want to go into the details, but I will explain. What David said, very correct. Now, let's say this is Apple Glass, and they project photons that is connected to their AI that influence me to buy something. For example, they know that when I see a pinky color in a shade of light, I feel more ease with my budget. I should buy something. So they can augment reality a bit to reflect this condition because the AI closed the cycle, the feedback loop, on my buying decision. So it's a way to actually interact with my brain, with my neural networks that takes decision, for example, on buying. By the way, you are there already, yes? You know that mobile phone, TikTok, Facebook, they're all not trying to predict you. They try to assert your next thought. They try to form your intention. They don't want to predict your intention anymore. but this is more intimate now and can touch more senses and be more real, so more fooling the brain. So one very simple conclusion is we cannot give force to a company. When the force is so big, it has to be totally distributed. Yes? The size the force is, the magnitude of the force, that's the level of distribution and decentralization it has to perform. The best example is God. And I'm referring God to the concept as I described before. God is the ultimate power, so it's highly distributed, so everything is God. Everybody can tap into this infinite potential state because you are part of it. So he shows the example. He's not limiting itself. Although some Christians or Jewish people or Muslims, they try to harness God to be their God, God by definition is everybody, everything. It cannot be limited to something. So this power definitely has to be distributed. This is why the way we build the operating system, as I mentioned, the internet, is a cross-platform, cross-device, and it gives the publishing power to the owners of the properties and the operators of the properties. So for example, who owns this auditorium, or who operating this auditorium, he will integrate the application he wants that simultaneously will sync everybody with this digital ecosystem. Because it brings another very important thing that reach to the definition, how I define reality in this practical manner. Reality is nothing but a communication platform. Objective reality is a construct for a communication platform. The reason Javier can give me the water when I ask give him the water, because the appearance of this infinite object reduces itself to something that is shareable and transactable, and we can operate upon that. So reality, objective reality, nothing but a communication platform. So it's very important that once we have these infinite capabilities to sculpture life, we still need to maintain this shareability. Because if you have Google Glass and I have Apple Glass, we might be in a totally different dimensions. Maybe I look at you, and you look having an astronaut suit, and you don't even aware that this is the way I see you. Understand? So it's breaking up the basic concept of shareability. This is why you have to give the ownership, respecting the ability of this auditorium operator to sync us in his way, because we came to his place. He's our host. Okay? So this is why we built Vera, the operating system. How you bring tools to shopping center owners, to airports, to city managers, to transportation managers, to now digitize their ecosystem and have much better and improved interaction, even with mobile phones and definitely later on with smart glasses. Thank you for that question. So it's not about fear, it's about how it motivates me to develop those ideas in a manner that makes this technology an enhancement technology, not a destructive technology. Okay? More questions? Thank you for that, David. Okay, so I guess all of you are liberated now, full, and you can go into deep sleep. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the National Autonomous University of Mexico, we appreciate a lot the presence of Dr. Emil Alon, and we give him the diploma and a bonus, a magazine of the university. So thank you very much for your presence.
Everyone that has a question in any topic, whether it's associated with technology welcome, you are invited. I will open a channel to educate some tools to reach to the level that a person can really be contentful, happy, and peaceful in his life. Okay? And I will invite you to participate and join. Okay? So thank you very much. Hello. Yeah, sure.
I loved your talk. It was great. It's interesting all the things that you are doing, but I feel so